Welcome to the Neonarcissism podcast, hosted by emotional intelligence specialists Kim and Jackie of Element Q, alongside strategic psychotherapist Brad Kaufman.
From their perspective, that they're a part of an exclusive club. Or should belong to an exclusive club in some way.
They can only be understood by, right? By other people. So if you are interacting with a narcissist and you aren't sort of understanding them to their degree, I am special, it's your fault that you can't understand me.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Or you are not special enough to understand me.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah, also.
Yeah. If you understand me, you'll also agree with me and you also cater to my sense of entitlement.
The special treatment, the VIP treatment, that's again, when we talk about how society has started grooming them, that's what everybody wants. You want to go to the club and get the VIP experience or the special treatment or to sit in first class or have those special experiences that not everybody else gets, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. You'll also see them sort of try to align themselves with other people who they consider to be higher status,
Yes.
other institutions they consider to be higher status, anything that makes them feel or makes them appear to have some sort of elevated status, power, prestige. Yeah. You'll see them go out of their way to align themselves to those opportunities.
Yes.
They're always trying to get to the next level. So if you think about it as almost like social ladder, so to speak, they're always trying to rung up one to the other. And in my experience, I was used for my reputation, for my connections, and everything like that. And so they will consume and feed off of all of your resources to get them up to the next level. It doesn't matter that they're exploiting you to get there. They don't care. They just want to get to that next rung.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Rise of the Neonarcissism podcast. We are working through the traits of the narcissistic personality. So I think we're just going to jump right in.
Yes.
We've covered 1 and 2 so far. The third trait that defines narcissism out of the DSM-5 manual is that they believe that he or she is special and unique and can only be understood by or should associate with other special or high status people or institutions.
Yes. And
let's go.
let's just go for it. And this, of course, ties into the previous one that we talked about with preoccupation with fantasies or really this kind of delusional thought. So, yeah, they truly do believe they are special beyond the specialness of other people or unique beyond the uniqueness of other people, can only be understood by or associate with. So there's this kind of ideology from their perspective that they're a part of an exclusive club or should belong to an exclusive club in some way.
One of the things that stands out to me on this one too is that there's such an out provided within this sentence, right? Within this, which is that they can only be understood by, right? By other people. So if you are interacting with a narcissist and you aren't sort of understanding them to their degree, this is sort of the back door there for to instill that this is true. Well, I am special. It's your fault that you can't understand me.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Or you are not special enough to understand me.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah, also.
Yeah.
Or if you understand me, you'll also agree with me and you also cater to my sense of entitlement.
Of course,
and all of that type of stuff as well.
The special treatment, the VIP treatment, that's again, when we talk about how society has started grooming them, that's what everybody wants. You want to go to the club and get the VIP experience or the special treatment or to sit in first class or have those special experiences that not everybody else gets, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, and my observation in real time of narcissists at work, I mean, this ties into some of the other criteria, but they are so good at exploiting or manipulating or influencing other people in certain directions towards their own means, they'll just turn the charm on and really get their way. And this is something that they learn over time. And this is why we call it a personality disorder, because they are good at building personas that get them what they want. It's not highly sustainable, but in these type of transactional or interaction type frameworks, they're really good at doing it. And so, well, since I throw it out there, I might as well talk about it. This idea of like transactional or interactional, we can have these, and that's the kind of surface level interactions that we have with people all the time. Narcissists are so incredibly good at these things, right? They're very influential and they can negotiate in certain ways, and that's where the transaction happens, right? Hey, if I do this for you, will you do this for me? Or if I give this person this, I should be able to receive this. So that's the transaction. And then the interaction, this is where they kind of put on that charming persona, and they really tap into people's sense of feeling, they try to make other people feel special. And so they get the special treatment in return. So that's an interaction, right? Again, transactional and interactional at the same time. But true attached relationship is something else entirely. And it's hard to maintain a manipulation prolonged.
Yeah.
You can't sustain it. Now, here's the flip side, and you've touched on this too, that idea of the victim.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So now they're special. If they aren't glamming it up, if they aren't being a superstar, now they're being...
Yeah.
The special victim.
Poor you. Like, poor me. And everybody else is like, well, why wouldn't you want to give me this special thing or this special experience? Because look at, what a victim I am right now of this other circumstance.
Or just being a victim makes them special. That they're the worst of the victims and that nobody else has it as hard as they do, right? Like, that's a special, unique quality.
That, they need everybody to cater to them. Yeah. So, and they'll never return the favor. If they're asked to return the favor, it's
it's happening.
It's kind of like...
too special for that.
Are you kidding? No.
Exactly.
I think this one's really self-explanatory, right? You'll also see them sort of try to align themselves with other people who they consider to be higher status, other institutions they consider to be higher status, anything that makes them feel or makes them appear to have some sort of elevated status, power, prestige, right? You'll see them go out of... Sorry?
Superiority,
yeah. You'll see them go out of their way to align themselves to those opportunities.
Yeah. And what's interesting about that in the relationship I had with narcissists, it wasn't necessarily in my mind that the people they aligned themselves with had higher status, because I was sort of like, who are these people? But what they would do to me is they would value their opinion and their information, even if it was exactly the same information I fed them, or I fed them even better information. Yeah, so it sort of ends up becoming about this game of,
Is it diminishing like somebody else's status? Like, is that what you're sort of referring to?
Well,
like diminishing your status?
Yes. So if you can totally take down my status. So what I was trying to say is that person, if you were to look in the world as to what people measure status, they don't have more money than me or anything that would make them more special. But for some reason in that algorithm for them.
Right.
Yeah.
If it's an opportunity to diminish your status, then they naturally, the narcissist you have a relationship with, naturally has more status over you now. Like has in their perception.
I don't know. It was more about who they were aligning with is what I was seeing. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I think you may be onto something, though, too.
Because they see this this third-party person as an opportunity to diminish the relationship that they have with you. So then they now have a leg up on you.
Right, especially if they're seeing you as a strong, solid, healthy badass in this world, rather than taking that advice from you, even if it's great advice or recommendation. They'll go take lesser advice or recommendation from somebody else, or the same thing, and they'll give all the credit to that other person.
Exactly.
Rather than to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and talking about this high status thing, they're always trying to get to the next level. So if you think about it as like almost like social ladder, so to speak, they're always trying to rung up one to the other. And in my experience, I was used for my reputation, for my connections, and everything like that. And they're highly parasitic. And so they will consume and feed off of all of your resources to get them up to the next level. And really, it doesn't matter. Again, this is where it comes into some of the other criteria too. It doesn't matter that they're exploiting you to get there. They don't care. They just want to get to that next rung. And in my experience, right, with, her entering the relationship, she entered at one level in the social structure of things, and she left at this whole other level. Like, it's night and day. So in the 5 years that we were together, she accomplished something that you wouldn't be able to accomplish unless you utilize the resources of somebody else. Right? The already existing resources of somebody else.
Yeah.
So, it's like completely night and day.
Yeah.
Yeah. That moves them to this higher status level. And so they feel like that taller tower in the city. And then because they have access to that new social circle, now they're looking for the new supply at that level. And they're going, and then they will go, okay, how do I leverage this supply to get me to the next rung? And it's constantly this attempt to do that. No, it's really a dangerous game for them to play. Because if they don't play it right and they don't have somebody that's truly interested in their well-being or seeing them advance or seeing them succeed, then ultimately they're losing. They're playing a losing battle at that point.
It's a house of cards, right?
Well, that's so well said. If
they don't have that safe person to catch them, now if I may use that as an example, your experience, so. Now she's in another area, but likely not find somebody else who would support her the same way.
Right.
So when that house of cards crumbles, who's catching? Right? There's nobody there. That's a big, big fall. Right. So it's a house of cards that they just keep building.
Yeah. Well, and the interesting thing about the House of Cards, now this kind of goes back to this fantasy idea of how well they're easy to lie to themselves as well as other people and play these personas in a certain way. They only have so many cards to build this house with. And then as soon as that house is built and all their cards are played, there's this lie that they're trying to protect or hide, or even, a truth, and desirable truth that they're trying to hide. So then they end up taking these pieces of the house, these cards, to right when something else happens, and they have to reposition it to keep it. And then that gets really, and you talk about these people who are like, I was telling so many lies, I didn't know what was true and what wasn't, and I couldn't keep up with all of the stories that I was spinning, and and then that's where people start calling them on it. But then that's where they gaslight and do all that type of stuff. So
to keep the fantasy alive. Yeah.
They start to become exploitative, just stepping on other people, leaving a whole lot of carnage in their dust.
Exactly.
Right? In their wake. So
that's such a good point too. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty destructive.
Yes, it is. It is very destructive. And that's the thing. Those who have experienced narcissistic abuse. Now, I will say this encouragement to those who are listening.
It's not all doom and gloom.
It's not all doom and gloom. I will say this. Narcissistic abuse will crush you, but it will not destroy you. Our environment can crush us. We can experience circumstances, or we can experience somebody with, high narcissistic traits that just basically beat us into nothing or crush us down to the certain point. And the rock bottom actually creates a groundedness for us. And so we might have to lie on that ground for a while, feeling beat down. Like I remember when I was young and I would do these action sports and I'd hit the ground, I'd just kind of bounce back up and, get back on the bike or the skis or whatever it is and just keep going. But now that I'm older and I hit the ground, I will just lie there. I'll just be like, oh,
Need a second.
yeah, I need a second. And literally just kind of fall into that feeling crushed experience and, just sit with the pain and then go, okay, like what can I actually move? Hopefully my body can move, and what can I actually move on my body, and where do I find my groundedness and my equilibrium at this point and move forward. And so that's the encouragement. So even though you may be crushed by narcissistic abuse, there is absolute hope to, be the phoenix that rises up out of the ashes. And you can be very intentional with that type of healing that you do. And this is where, again, we are very open to having your questions on, if you're wondering how to do that, we're happy to answer those questions. And we will get there, but we're going to walk through informing everybody of what the narcissistic personality traits are. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks, everybody. I think that wraps up point number 3 of the DSM narcissistic personality traits. Well, join us in our next episode, and we're going to continue through these.